Here's a sentence that most executives will resist. The most important and underestimated role in most companies is HR. Not because it runs policies, it runs compliance, but because it controls the systems that determine who gets to perform. This is the Work Ready Show. My name is Dr. Michael A. Campbell. I've spent more than 2 decades inside companies like Intel. I've been responsible for building teams, hiring, leading, and uh, driving results for the organization. This show here exists to really have a conversation about work, trust, and capability. And today's claim is simple. In the AI era, the function that shapes proof of skill shapes company performance. And that function sits inside HR. Personally, I did not believe this. Early in my career, I saw more leverage and long term viability within the company in roles like product, sales, marketing, or operations because I felt that they were tied to the revenue. HR felt over there, it felt adjacent, supportive, necessary, but not central. And then I started seeing patterns, the hires that quietly slowed teams, promotions that diluted decision quality, the onboarding that did not shorten time to impact. Outcomes were being, again, shaped before execution began at hiring, at evaluation, at promotion, at advancement. And that's when things started to click. The system that decides who gets trusted with work is a performance system. And that system lives largely in HR. Companies are investing heavily in AI. We know that. And at the same time, research across industry shows a large share of companies doing digital and AI transformations have failed to deliver expected value. And many studies put failure or underperformance rates well above half. The issue rarely has to do with the technology, the model. It is really more so the integration of that technology into real work, into the daily workflow. And here's the key shift: AI increases speed of output, it doesn't verify skill. It can't. If hiring and evaluation systems rely just on credentials and interviews and self reported experience and claims, AI is just going to make those signals easier to polish and harder to trust. Speed goes up, signal quality goes down. The function responsible for defining what counts as evidence is no longer administrative, it is strategic. HR defines the rules for what qualified means, what counts as evidence in hiring, how performance is measured, how capability is developed, how advancement decisions are made. That's how I understand HR. And of course, hiring managers play a really important partnership role in shaping that. But ultimately, those rules determine who gets decision authority, who gets to access opportunity, which skills are valued and trusted, and whether capability is verified or assumed. And that is not paperwork, that is performance architecture. And if that architecture runs on a belief of what we believe to be true versus actual proof, then the company is not going to run on what it needs to survive. It's going to be running on hope if they don't have proof or evidence to back up those decisions. So, which company are you? Companies right now are spending billions of dollars on reskilling and AI literacy. Yet, executive surveys still report persistent skill gaps. One reason is measurement. And I can speak from experience. I've taken many surveys, many tests, many training uh, requirements in organizations, and it wasn't really meant to learn something. It was just to check that box to get on to the next one. Participation, consequently, is not a metric and should not be a metric. Completion becomes the signal, but certification is truly the proof. Do you truly have the skill that you're being taught in that lesson plan? If someone completes AI training but cannot use those tools responsibly in the workplace, the company has just activity, not capability. That's just busy work. It's not actually leading to business outcomes. The shift from course tracking to proof of skill is not a training decision, it is a system design decision, and that sits in HR. Workforce research shows a significant gap or a significant portion of new hires underperforming within the first 12 to 18 months. And Gallup has reported that many employees take close to a year to reach full productivity. And the most expensive hires are not dramatic failures. They are just meh, almost right. They produce acceptable work, but they never elevate the team. They require oversight. They slow momentum down. That pattern often traces back to this: we hired on presentation, not on proof. We hired because we know that person or that person knows the hiring manager. We trust that person. No technology stack can fix that later. Which systems reward polish, pedigree, and presentation? Advantage concentrates with those coached in projection and fluent in institutional language. I'll repeat that. When systems reward polish, pedigree, and presentation, advantage concentrates with those coached in projection and fluent in institutional language. When systems shift toward observable work, applied skill, invisible problem solving, then access broadens. Proof based systems do not just show improved performance, they reduce reliance on paper, on proxies that may exclude highly capable people. And that's structural impact. Most companies still treat HR systems as compliance structures. In reality, again, they are performance architecture, performance control systems. The question is no longer who interviewed well, it is where is the evidence this person can do the work under real conditions. The function that owns that shift becomes one of the most leveraged organizations within the company. HR has an awesome opportunity right now to transform organizations with people, led by people through and through at scale. Because proof of skill determines whether that work is trustworthy. Without proof, speed multiplies mistakes. With proof, speed multiplies performance. Performance multiplication. That's what you want. This is why the most underestimated role in most companies is HR. This is the Work Ready Show, making work visible where decisions get made.